That flicker of rage in her eyes, I'll never forget it. Sierra stood over me, the empty wine glass still dripping red onto my dress as I reeled in shock. "Whoops," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. In that moment, something ignited within me, a spark of defiance I thought had long faded. I slowly rose to my feet, the sticky wine seeping into my skin as we locked eyes in tense silence. "You spiteful witch!" My voice came out steady, undergirded by newfound strength. "How dare you? In my own home that I opened to you." Sierra scoffed. "Don't be so dramatic, Evelyn. It was an accident. Right, babe?" My eldest son, Derek, watched impassively from the sofa, offering neither defense nor apology. Sierra sauntered over, draping herself on his lap as if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't just publicly degraded his own mother. I stood motionless as they dissolved into giggles, the sting of humiliation washing over me. This was the last straw. Sierra had chipped away at my dignity ever since she married into our family 3 years ago, slowly eroding the harmony in our home. Her vanity, selfishness, and spoiled coddling by my husband had blinded Derek to her subtle cruelty. But this act of violence, masking malice with feigned innocence, opened my eyes fully to the abuse I'd quietly endured from her. From them both. My hands balled into fists. I saw myself then not as a frail 68-year-old grandmother worn by illness, but a proud fighter ready to reclaim my power. Enough was enough. I refused to let Sierra's toxicity infect our family any longer. As I retreated upstairs, my mind racing with plans, I knew the time had come to fight back. I would start by reaching out to the one person I knew I could trust unconditionally, my youngest son, Alex. "Mom, that's horrible. I had no idea," Alex said. His forehead creased in concern as I recounted the wine incident. I'd asked him to meet me discreetly at a cafe down the street from our family home, not wanting Derek or Sierra to suspect anything. "She's a parasite," I said bitterly. "I was blind to not see how she's manipulated all of us until now. She and Derek, they've been bleeding me dry financially ever since they moved in, hoarding my money to fund their lavish lifestyle while I struggle." Alex nodded gravely. "I noticed designer clothes and fancy new gadgets, but whenever I asked Derek, he'd say it was from his big promotion at work." I let out a mirthless laugh. "All lies to hide their exploitation. Sierra thinks I'm weak, an easy target, but I'll prove her dead wrong." My son regarded me with care. "What can I do to help, Mom?" I reached across the table and squeezed his hand, my first genuine smile in months creeping onto my face. With Alex by my side, I felt emboldened, like I had an army at my back. "First, I need you to quietly gather evidence about their financial abuse," I said. "Bank statements, receipts, anything we can use as proof. Confronting them outright won't work. They're too manipulative. This requires strategy." Alex nodded firmly. "Of course. What next?" I took a long sip of chamomile tea, savoring the calm before the storm I would soon unleash on Derek and Sierra. "Next," I said coolly, "we destroy their lives like they've destroyed mine." "More wine, Mother?" Sierra's mocking tone cut through the tense silence that had descended on our usually cheerful family dinner table. Ever since the spilling incident, as I'd come to call it, Sierra had taken to publicly needling me in petty ways, all under the guise of sweet concern. I simply stared back stonily, refusing to gratify her twisted bullying with any visible reaction. Sierra's painted lips twisted into a scowl at my non-response. "Oh, let it go, love." My eldest Derek jumped in, always the peacemaker blinded by his wife's superficial charms. "No need to give Mom grief. It was just an accident after all." "Some accident," Alex muttered under his breath as he aggressively speared a carrot slice. My youngest had grown increasingly disgusted by Sierra's behavior since we'd had our secret cafe strategizing session last week. "What was that?" Sierra snapped. Nothing. Derek, ever the oblivious optimist desperate to keep up pretenses, waved his hand. "Now, Sierra, be polite. We're lucky Mom welcomed us into her home when we needed help." I bit my tongue, holding back the fiery retort on the tip of my tongue. We all knew Sierra and Derek hadn't moved in with me out of any familial sentimentality or hardship. After recklessly draining their savings on frivolous luxuries, they'd targeted my vulnerability as a widow living alone, seeing a chance to bleed my retirement savings dry under the guise of needing shelter. Well, not for much longer, you parasites. The thought ignited a spark of anticipation within me. After dinner, I was meeting Alex at his apartment, where he would show me the financial evidence of Derek and Sierra's lies that could ruin them. "So, Derek," Alex interjected, "how's the big promotion going? Must be demanding work." Though his tone sounded innocent enough, I detected the subtle confrontation in his words, a thinly veiled suggestion that perhaps Derek's promotion was as false as the rest of the web of deception he and his wife had spun. My eldest shifted uncomfortably under Alex's gaze, a flicker of something like guilt passing over his features. "Oh, going great," he managed after a pause. "Just wrapped up a big project, so things are calmer now." "How lovely for you both," Sierra trilled, placing a hand over Derek's in a show of wifely solidarity. Her sharp eyes, however, glared daggers at Alex. Sensing the simmering tension, Derek cleared his throat and rose abruptly from the table. "Well, delicious dinner as always, Mom," he said with forced joviality. "I've got some emails to catch up on for work, so I'll excuse myself." With a quick peck to Sierra's cheek, Derek hurried off. Sierra and I locked eyes as Alex began gathering dishes. The sweet facade she adopted for my son's benefit had slipped, unveiled malice marring her perfectly made-up features. "You want a war, witch?" I thought defiantly. "You've got one now, and I intend to win." I awoke with a start, momentarily confused by the faint crashing sounds coming from downstairs. Bleary-eyed, I glanced at the clock. 2:37 a.m., blinked back angrily. My heart began to pound as more muffled bangs echoed up to my bedroom, followed by raucous laughter. Derek and Sierra. Of course. I slowly shuffled to my bedroom door and cracked it open. The couple had just returned from a rare date night out, no doubt funded by my stolen money. As their cackles grew louder, so did my boiling anger. Not only had those parasites wrecked my peaceful home with their constant demands, now they robbed me of sleep too? This had to end. Now. As I crept halfway down the stairs in darkness, the scene in my trashed living room came into focus. Derek was sprawled out on my good couch, shoes still on, and giggling drunkenly. My antique coffee table had been shoved aside carelessly, various bottles and chips littering the floor. Sierra wasn't faring much better, stumbling back from the kitchen with a bottle of my vintage wine in hand. I watched in outrage as she staggered against my bookshelf, sending a framed photo of my late husband crashing to the ground. At the shattered glass, Sierra simply cackled harder. Red-hot rage surged within me. These entitled brats had waltzed into my home, bled my bank accounts dry with manipulative lies, and now trashed my belongings like rebellious teenagers. I had enough evidence of their financial deceit to destroy them, courtesy of Alex's intel. Now this blatant property disrespect was the last straw. Steeling myself, I flicked on the lights and stomped into full view. "What in God's name do you think you're doing?" My voice boomed through the tense silence. Still in her glittering dress, Sierra froze mid-pour of the wine. Derek shot bolt upright, eyes widening at the damage surrounding him. We, he stammered before falling silent under my searing glare. After a weighted pause, Sierra let out an exaggerated sigh. "Oh, don't look so scandalized, Evelyn. We were just having a little fun." She attempted a breezy laugh and raised her glass flirtatiously towards me, as if to diffuse the situation with her usual coquettish charm. I stalked forward until we were nearly nose to nose, pleased to see a flicker of uncertainty in her made-up eyes. "How dare you?" I said, my voice low and steady despite my trembling fury. "How dare you vandalize my home that I opened to you, you ungrateful, spoiled brat?" Sierra's lips curled into a sneer. All pretenses dropped. "Or what? What will you do about it, old lady?" She stepped even closer, wine fumes assaulting my nostrils as she snarled. "Nothing, because you can't do a damn thing. You're weak and helpless, completely at our mercy, so why don't you scurry off back to bed like a good little old bitch?" My palm cracked across her cheek before I even realized I'd swung my fist. The slap split the heavy silence like a gunshot. As Sierra let out a shriek of pain and outrage, clutching her face, I felt a rush of dark satisfaction. "Get out," I whispered. "Both of you, get your things and get the hell out of my house." Their destruction had gone too far. It was time for war. "You can't kick us out. This is Derek's family home, too." Sierra's shrill voice echoed through the foyer. I crossed my arms, unaffected by her hysterics. After tossing the drunken couple out last night, following Sierra's cruel barbs, I'd given them until noon today to pack their things and leave. Of course she hadn't gone quietly. Not anymore, I said coldly. I've shown Alex all the proof of your lies and theft. My lawyer is filing an official eviction notice today. I saw Sierra's hazel eyes flare with anger, and perhaps panic, before she caught herself. When she spoke again, her voice dripped with false sweetness. Evelyn, let's be reasonable, she purred, sliding up to grasp my hands in faux sincerity. This is all a big misunderstanding. We would never want to intentionally hurt you. I ripped my hands from her grip. Save it. The bank statements prove exactly where my missing retirement money has been going, straight into funding your lavish shopping sprees. Sierra opened her mouth to retaliate, but I held up a hand. I don't want to hear any more lies. You have 2 hours before I call the police. As I turned on my heel, I felt the familiar flare of pain in my lower back from my spinal condition. The doctor said stress always aggravated it, and dealing with these toxic leeches in my home had pushed me past my limit. Gritting my teeth against the spasms, I reached for the bottle of prescription oxycodone to ease the torment. To my dismay, I found it empty. Strange, I just had it refilled. Before I could ponder further, Sierra barged into my bedroom unannounced. Missing something? She asked sweetly. Dread curdled my stomach at the sight of my pill bottle dangling from her manicured fingers. I figured you didn't need these anymore, since you'll have so much peaceful relaxation without us here nagging you. I lunged forward, but Sierra anticipated me, cackling as she danced out of reach. To my horror, I watched as she stormed into my bathroom, our bathroom, and held the pills precariously over the toilet bowl. No! Stop! I need those! The rest of my plea died in my throat as she let them slip from her grasp into the swirling water with a splash. My heart dropped as months' worth of precious pain relief disappeared in seconds. Whoopsie! Sierra tilted her head, regarding me with mock concern through her thick, mascara-coated lashes. Butterfingers. I'd fish them out, but... ew! Momentarily speechless with rage, I stumbled past her towards my jewelry box on the counter. If she thought a little pain would stop me from banishing them, she was dead wrong. But when I opened the box, I found it empty. Now I knew why the scheming addict had trespassed uninvited into my private space. The sight of my most treasured pearls and heirlooms stolen and discarded pushed me over the brink. With strength I didn't know I possessed, I grabbed Sierra's skinny shoulders and slammed her against the bathroom tiles. She yelped loudly. Up close, I could see a sliver of fear behind the disdain in her eyes. You listen to me, you toxic leech, I hissed into her face. Nothing will stop me from destroying you and Derek for what you've done. I pressed my forearm harder across her collarbone as she squirmed. Now for the last time, get the hell out! I stepped back, adrenaline and rage coursing through me as Sierra fled from the room. The war was on. It's done. The eviction notice has been served, Alex said, setting a folder thick with legal documents on the cafe table. I let out a long sigh, feeling the knot in my chest loosen slightly. After Derek and Sierra's cruelty reached new heights yesterday, I'd barely slept a wink. Now the first step of my vengeance was officially in motion. Thank you, Alex, I said, squeezing his hand gratefully. I couldn't have faced those monsters without you by my side. My son nodded. I still can't believe Derek refused to answer my calls last night. He knows Sierra crossed the line, but he's so deep under her spell. Disgust dripped from Alex's voice. She's completely corrupted him, I agreed bitterly. I just pray we can bring Derek back to his senses someday. I shook my head before taking a long draught of coffee. But first, we make them suffer. Determination flashed in Alex's eyes. You said Sierra physically tormented you. We could report them for elder abuse. Not enough, I said coolly. After years pandering to those parasites' wishes, I wanted to hit them where it truly hurt, their beloved social status. An idea began percolating. We need to turn their fancy social circles against them, I continued. Publicly drag their reputations through the mud. Share evidence of their lies for all to see. Alex frowned uncertainly. I don't know, Mom. A reputation attack could really devastate them. I leaned forward. Exactly. Sierra and Derek care about nothing except money and admiration from their vapid country club world. So we rip that all away by exposing them. My hands trembled slightly as I recalled Sierra's mocking face. After what she did to me, what they did, they deserve no mercy. I watched Alex wrestle with his conscience before resolve hardened his expression. Okay, he agreed. Where do we start? Over the next hour, fueled by caffeine and adrenaline, Alex and I outlined our retaliation scheme. Step 1 involved anonymously sending Derek's workplace the proof of his financial deception, putting his lucrative job at risk. Meanwhile, I would subtly inform Sierra's gossip-hungry socialite friends about her treatment of me, seeding rumors that would spread rapidly. By the time Derek lost his job, Sierra's reputation would also be shredded by scandal among their social circle. Their lives here would be untenable. Checkmate. As we parted ways, Alex pulled me in for a fierce hug. "It'll be okay, Mom," he said gently. "We've got this nightmare handled now." Pride and optimism swelled within me then. My son was right. The dawn had arrived to banish these parasites for good. Now we would make Derek and Sierra sorry they ever darkened our door. Over the next week, Alex and I vigilantly executed our plot as Derek and Sierra scrambled to fight the eviction notice. Phase 1 went smoothly. Alex mailed reams of incriminating evidence against Derek to his bosses. Meanwhile, fueled with self-righteous fury, I dropped whispered gossip bombs among Sierra's acquaintances at social events I knew they'd attend. By the time they left each venue, tongues would already be wagging with scandal about Sierra's cruelty against a helpless old woman. Soon enough, Alex and I noted whispers dying down awkwardly as Sierra entered rooms. Eyes that were once warm with envy now glared with contempt. I even witnessed one ringleader of Sierra's clique publicly snub her at a ladies' luncheon. Watching Derek and Sierra's glittering facade slowly crack bolstered my energy. The parasites were getting a taste of long-overdue karma, and my vengeance hungered for more. Soon, the fatal blow would strike. Our scheme was unfolding perfectly. This was it. Phase 2 of my master vengeance plan went into motion today, destroying Derek's career and reputation just as he and his wicked wife have destroyed me these past bitter years. My hands trembled slightly as I carried the anonymous package into the mailroom of Derek's prestigious finance firm. Thanks to Alex's inside intel, I knew exactly when new mail deliveries arrived to ensure my parcel would land directly on the CEO's desk today. The thick manila envelope contained hard evidence of Derek's deceit. Phony promotion paperwork, emails showing him misusing company funds for personal gain. Once exposed to the light, Derek's house of lies would come crashing down spectacularly. After handing the sealed fate to the clerk, I retreated outside to meet Alex around the corner. As soon as I slid into the passenger seat, questions spilled from my son's mouth. "It's done? They'll definitely see it?" His eyes shone with anticipation. My lips curved into a smile. Without a doubt. I made sure to address it directly to the CEO and partners. I pictured my parasitic son squirming under his boss's scrutiny and felt a flare of dark satisfaction. "Bullseye shot, Mom." "Nice work," Alex grinned and reached over for a high five. As our palms slapped in camaraderie, I let out a breath I'd been holding for years since Sierra first darkened my door as Derek's vapid arm candy. Today marked the beginning of her downfall as well, and freedom for Alex and me. My phone buzzed with an update from my insider society lady, Magda. She confirmed catching Sierra drunk and belligerent at a country club luncheon today, throwing a spectacular tantrum for all the gossipy patrons to see when confronted about her treatment of me. I smirked, envisioning the scandalized faces of Seattle's most influential wives and matriarchs aghast at her audacity. Sierra's social death was all but guaranteed now. Alex and I decided to swing by a cafe near Derek's office to lay low for a few hours, not wanting to arouse suspicion by returning home too quickly. We passed the time eagerly dissecting potential scenarios, Derek being escorted out by security, Sierra's designer gal pals icing her out forever, their lavish leased cars repossessed within the month. I halfway listened as Alex prattled on about his new girlfriend and her plans to take me on a scenic mountain hiking trip. My gaze remained fixed out the window facing Derek's building, hungry for signs of implosion. Finally, just as the cafe owner flipped the open sign to closed, it happened. Derek emerged at a jog through the lobby's revolving doors. Tie loose, hair disheveled, face pale as a corpse. My breath caught as he frantically scanned the dark street before booking it towards his BMW. "Mom, look!" Alex's whispered voice barely penetrated my fixation. We both instinctively sunk lower in our seats as Derek's car roared out of the underground parking ramp and streaked by in the night. My hands, though liver-spotted with age, clenched into fists of unsated vengeance. Seeing Derek utterly unraveled after years of his soul-crushing deception tasted sweet, but like a perfectly seared steak, I hungered to fully savor the meal I'd cooked up. "One parasite down," I muttered under my breath. Alex touched my shoulder, solidarity passing between us. Now time to squash the queen bee. 1 week after Derek lost his executive job under the black cloud of scandal, Alex and I drank tea on my back patio, waiting for the other parasite shoe to drop. "Sierra missed her nail appointment yesterday," Alex said, "and salon gossip confirmed none of her circle invited her on Carol's annual Aspen trip this year." I nodded, blowing gently on my steaming cup. Bit by bit, Sierra's social bonds unraveled as my gossip campaign exposed her cruel ways. With Derek also in the doghouse, her golden perch atop Seattle's who's who started crumbling quickly. Now we anticipated the fatal blows to drive our revenge home. Right on cue, the patio door suddenly banged open. Sierra stomped out, mascara streaking her contorted face. I set my cup down, steeling my expression into cool indifference despite Sierra's histrionics. "Help me. I think my brakes were tampered with." She collapsed into the wicker chair opposite me, burying her face in manicured hands. I arched an eyebrow. Car issues were just the newest calamity plaguing her in recent weeks. "Excellent. What makes you think that?" I asked lightly, keeping my tone free of genuine concern. Alex swiveled to monitor Sierra, a perfect accomplice keeping up normal appearances. Sierra lifted her head, hazel eyes burning with fury despite the smudged makeup. "This is all your fault. Ever since your stupid eviction scheme, my life has fallen apart." She swept out a hand dramatically. "My friends shun me. Derek can't find work, now potentially deadly car attacks. I know you're targeting me." I took a slow, leisurely sip of tea before responding calmly. "You've always been overly dramatic, Sierra. Nonetheless, I wish you and Derek nothing but the best moving forward." "Oh, cut the fake sweetness, you hag." She snatched up an empty planter pot, and for a moment I thought she might try to attack me again. Instead, she hurled it against the cedar fence with a frustrated shriek. I didn't flinch as terracotta shards exploded across the pavers at my feet. "I'd appreciate you not destroying my patio furnishings." Sierra's chest heaved rapidly, wet eyes still flashing daggers at me. But despite the aggressive posturing, her face had a hollow, worn appearance now. The queen bee's protective social armor lay in tatters, exposing her pettiness nakedly for all to see. My schemes had achieved exactly that, and I watched her crack and crumble with growing satisfaction. Just then, Alex's phone buzzed loudly in the tense silence. His eyes blew wide at the caller ID image, and he angled the screen for me to see. A glamorous woman wrapped around a shirtless, muscular man. Clearly not Derek. Bold text across the image read, "Cheating Sierra strikes again." My lips curled triumphantly. Our insider spies had captured Sierra's latest infidelity bombshell, another crushing blow I'd orchestrated to her status. Sierra lunged, but Alex yanked the phone out of reach. "That's photoshopped. I never cheated." She attempted a breezy laugh, but it came out shrill and frantic. "Right, Evelyn? Tell him that's fake." I held Sierra's panicked gaze, watching her shredded dignity burn away, my vengeance nearly complete. Finally, I drew myself up slowly. "I think it's time for you two parasites to truly leave my home." My voice rang with quiet authority. Sierra gaped, speechless. As she stormed away and surrendered defeat, Alex and I toasted over fresh tea. The parasites were banished for good. I had reclaimed my power at last. I awoke to golden rays of dawn streaming through my bedroom windows, the first morning in years where hope instead of dread propelled me out of bed. After banishing Derek and Sierra from my life forever yesterday, joyful relief now flooded my veins. I stretched slowly, for once not bothered by my creaky joints or chronic back pain. Healing was finally possible with those emotional vampires gone. I found Alex humming cheerily over a sizzling skillet when I drifted downstairs an hour later. "Morning, Mom. Celebratory cheese omelets?" He smiled brightly. My heart warmed at his infectious mood. With the parasites gone, Alex was positively thriving, his caring spirit unburdened. Over fluffy eggs and strong coffee, we chatted lightly about starting house repairs. Alex insisted on repainting Sierra's gaudy glam room gray to cleanse her tacky energy. As he rambled excitedly about redecorating visions, emotion suddenly clogged my throat. After years battling trauma alone, now I had my loyal son beside me, ready to heal wounds and reconnect. I squeezed Alex's hand tightly across the counter. "Thank you," I whispered, "for fighting with me. I love you so much." Alex squeezed back firmly. "We did this together. I'm just grateful to have my strong mom back." He smiled softly. "Those parasites will never hurt our family again." Over the next few weeks, Alex made good on his home improvement promises while I regained vigor and mobility. Soon colorful gardens sprung up outside, while inside, cherished antique furniture emerged from basement storage back into their rightful places. Alex also urged me to share our story with others experiencing elder exploitation. "What you did was so brave, facing abusive family members," he insisted. "Your experience could help other seniors speak up, too." Weeks later at my first community center meeting, apprehension and stage fright struck me momentarily mute. But seeing the attendees' encouraging faces, I found my voice. And soon my speech about overcoming parasitic relationships through courage and strategy planning roused a standing ovation. In the whirlwind months that followed between decor upgrades with Alex and counseling other seniors, I hardly had time to ponder Derek and Sierra's fate since their raging departure. Only vague rumors circulated among my society circles of their disgrace. So I was surprised when Alex poked his head into the living room one autumn afternoon as I reviewed brochures for an elder justice conference. "Mom, there's a woman outside asking to see you," he said carefully. My eyebrow quirked up. I rarely had unannounced visitors anymore. Before I could respond, Alex stepped back to reveal Sierra hovering behind him sheepishly. I slowly rose to my feet. Even with uncomfortably bleached hair and pounds thinner, I immediately recognized the haughty tilt of Sierra's chin. But her flashy designer clothes had been replaced by a simple turtleneck and jeans. Oddly, her hazel eyes lacked their usual combative scorn as well. I crossed my arms warily. "May I help you?"